Hi guys, I'm Ari and we're in the Lyme fight. Today I'm going to be telling you about the main overview of my story. So I told you guys about how I took medicine, it didn't help, and it got worse and worse. Well, we went to the doctor and they had to give me an IV, and then we went home. And I still wasn't feeling better, so we had to go back, and then they admitted me. It was the first time I had ever been admitted. It was really scary to me. And then we left, but my headache still wasn't better. They ended up referring us to a neurologist in, St. Louis, and we talked to the neurologist and stuff. It wasn't really that helpful, and so then we went home. A couple weeks later, I was in so much pain, we didn't know what to do. So I went to the ER in St. Louis, and I crack up every time I think about that. And so we went there, and they thought they saw something in my stomach. And I'm like, my problem is in my head. They're like, no, you have a bezoar. Because they saw it from an x-ray. I'm like, I came here because I have a headache and it won't stop and it hurts. I was a little bit annoyed. Anyway, so I stayed there, and that was my first ever time at a children's hospital. It was a lot more inviting and less scary, but it was still pretty scary. They were going to actually cut me open and take the bezoar out. It wasn't a bezoar. They told me to eat, so I had eaten a burger, and it showed up on the x-ray, and they thought it was a bezoar. So luckily, I didn't get cut open. But they still didn't help my head, and I was kind of frustrated with that. So we ended up going back home. Around probably a month later, we went back. It was around the holidays at this time. There wasn't really much we could do. I was in pain. So we went there, stayed there in the hospital overnight. They gave me meds, and there was really not much they could do. And then we ended up deciding to go to a gastrologist in Springfield, Illinois, which is, because I was also having stomach problems because of some of the medicines I was on for my head. And so we were going there, and while we were talking to her, she's like, there's a neurologist here, I can get you in today. And we were like, what? Because the neurologist in St. Louis took 2 months to get to have an appointment for. So, and this was unscheduled and stuff, so we were like, yes, please. It was super exciting and stuff to be able to go to him. So we went and got lunch in Springfield, and so it was cool. And then he set us up for an appointment, and we got to see him. And so we did that, and then so we saw him again, and we ended up going to the children's hospital in Springfield 2 times, I believe. So yeah. Sorry, this part's kind of hard for me to share. The last time, we went there, and he's like, so some medicines weren't working and stuff, and they ended up doing a spinal tap, which have you ever heard your mom have, like, when she's having a baby, an epidural? That's kind of what it was, except there was no baby. It was just a huge needle like that big in my back. And so it was very, 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 very painful. And like, to this day, it still hurts there. But anyway, so yeah, and that showed up nothing, so that ruled all the scary stuff out, and we were thankful. But we still didn't know what it was. And they sent in this person, like, this therapist, and I'm like, okay, I'll talk to him. And it did not go well. I ended up never wanting a therapist again. I'm not into go into details, because, yeah. And then, so, basically, after all of it, they said, so here's what we can do. It's in your head. Either it's in your head, or it's not, and, well, that's not exactly what they said. Mainly, so the therapist said, and it was like a 15-minute session with a therapist I'd never met before, and then he had to go do someone else. I'm like, I do not know you. I'm not going to share with you. I didn't like it one bit. And then, so the neurologist said, so we have a medicine that we can basically just keep giving her higher and higher and higher and higher of doses on. And that was kind of scary because it would make me loopy. And when I say loopy, I mean like, I'm not like this, like, hey, hi, like that kind of loopy. And so I wouldn't be me. And the therapist said, I think it's just kind of in her head. And the pain's, and it just frustrated me. And so it didn't help, is the main part. And then we ended up, at that point, I had basically lost hope of getting better. And we ended up seeing a chiropractor. I'm not going to say their name, but they were so helpful. They gave me hope. She's actually the one that referred us to the doctor that found out I had Lyme disease. I just want to say thank you. You know who you are. You helped me through so much. And so they ended up referring us to a doctor in Columbia, Missouri. And we went, and they did some tests, and there once was an antibiotic for Lyme, but it didn't help, and it just gave you the symptoms of some of it. And my symptoms and the stuff that showed up on my Lyme test were those same ones, but I was too young. The vaccine wasn't even invented then. So it turns out I had Lyme. And after that, there was actually a path, and it started helping. I started getting better. I mean, I'm still in a lot of pain all the time, but I'm getting better. And I learned that I started being able to do things, even though I was in a lot of pain. I learned to push through and persevere. And I also learned that I wasn't alone. And that for me meant so much. And I just want to let you guys know that you're not alone. If you have any ideas or want to know more about my story or any of that stuff, please comment down below and hit like and subscribe. Bye!